Hello everyone, Tom Vogel's Wrestling's finest PC Pro Wrestling game. Going to be a little different video here we're going to walk you through here. We are going to talk about kind of a continuation on our territory discussion. This will be kind of my third video dealing with territories. This is a little different, but it does kind of apply. So on your screen, you see Wild Event Result Singles Match. We actually have two of these now, one for singles and one for tag teams. And, excuse me. Okay, I'm back here. I was coughing. So anyway, what I'm going to run through here are our wild events we have for the game, and kind of give you an idea how you might be able to use these for some angles. Sometimes, I hear comments, people say, I don't know, what actually can happen for an angle. They might say, I'm kind of, something happens, but how do I know if that's what I should be using or how I should use it? I think they're not sure when to use something that comes up. Is it an angle type thing? And I'm a believer that the wild events are good angle builders. Now, I also think that, if you're going to use the wild events, then you need to use them whether you like it or not. It's either in or you're not in. Now, I don't typically use the wild events unless I'm forced to, and I'll show you what some of those are here in a minute. If I'm doing like a group tournament, or if we're doing a group project where we're just trying to see who's going to win, and maybe who's the best champion, something like that. Now, when I run like a territory tournament to crown a champion, then I will use the wild events. And my rule for my wrestling world is that if a wild event occurs, I have to address it at least, meaning if it's something that the game forces you to, you don't have a choice. And again, I'll show those in a second, but right now I'm going to show you how some of these angles can work, or how you can use them to make angles. And also, again, if they come up for me, I have to figure out how to use them. So first of all, how does a wild event occur in the game? To be honest, I can't remember how many wild event cards there are. I want to say there's like 15, maybe 12, 15, something like that. And a wild event occurs whenever two of them are turned consecutively. And even if it occurs, like, say it's during a body slam and two cards are turned, the body slam will be completed and then the wild event will be addressed. So that's how the game handles it. When a wild event comes up, a 1 to 40 number is turned, and so this chart goes from 1 to 40. There's no, it doesn't matter if you're a heel or face or really good or really bad. It's a fluke what occurs, and the game will decide if one wrestler has to be chosen for something. The game will arbitrarily decide which wrestler that is. So let's get to it here. First one here, we have wrestlers collide in the ring. Both are cut. The game will automatically go to the cut chart to determine the cut effect for both wrestlers. 6 to 14, one of the wrestlers, the game will decide, is suddenly cut. Check the cut chart to determine the type of cut. Now, 15 through 29. All right, what I had to do was a quick pause there because I wanted to call up our text files. On the existing chart, how it works currently in the game, 15 through 29, and I'll get back to that chart here in just a second. It's going to, in fact, here it is. You'll see there all of these results here. There's no direct result to the match, meaning nothing happens to either wrestler. It doesn't affect the match. It's just an oh by the way, and as you can pause this and read it if you want all of them, but it just something happens during the match, and you as the gamer decide how you want to figure out how to use it. So let me see if I can do this easy without pausing. Here we go. So the 15 through 19 or 29, these are, if the 15 to 29 is turned, one of these results you see in front of you, I kind of got the screen cut off here, will come up. So like here, there's a few new ones that aren't on the chart right now, and this will be going into an update. Like here, there's one here, sitting at ringside is someone who is dressed up in some type of costume. The purchase watches the match from their seat. You can't read the rest of this here, it's off screen, but suddenly leaves the seat. So different things here. You, again, as the gamer, you have to try to figure out how you're going to bring that into play. But all of them are definitely angle builders. So like here, manager comes to ringside for unknown reason. Managers watches the match very intently and leaves prior to the conclusion of the match. Is it an existing manager in your territory, or do you want to bring a new manager into your territory? Why is he out there for that match? Is it a heel versus face? Could it possibly be he has interest in managing the heel? And let's say the heel is someone who was never managed by this wrestler, or you don't want him to have a manager. Maybe the manager's reasons out there is maybe somebody behind the scenes has hired him to find a wrestler to take out the face wrestler. So let's say it's, using an example, Tommy Rich face versus Roddy Piper heel. A manager comes out. You don't necessarily want to have the manager for Piper, but you could start an angle saying, maybe somebody has hired or put a bounty on Tommy Rich's head, and the manager is simply coming out to do some scouting, to do some analyzation, whatever. Now that manager's appearance becomes, what is he doing there? Could you have Roddy Piper ask him, Roddy, why was so-and-so? I have no idea. Could Piper be lying? Could Piper have a bounty placed on Tommy Rich, but he doesn't want to announce it? So many ways you can go with that, with that situation. Here's one. Manager appears at ringside and is waving some papers at one of the wrestlers. Again, what does that mean? Does he want to manage one? Does he have a contract? Does he, is somebody put something down where maybe they want a bounty on him? All kinds of different ways you can go with these things. So let me go back to our wild event chart. So here again, 15 through 29, all of these were on the text files I just showed you, but the text files actually have a few more that were added. So, you can pause this video, I guess, if you want to, and you can read these a little closer. Usually I don't show charts just because I don't, but this is kind of a sneak peek at one. Here, if you look at number 21, both wrestlers team up to stop the attack of a wrestler who would attempt to attack one of the wrestlers. So for a moment there, both wrestlers put their differences aside and attack this guy. You could use that as an angle. Maybe it comes up later that it's brought up how they teamed up. Is it possible for them to have a tag team? Is it possible for the heel to now turn face? That was in that match. Different ways to inject some life, some, a complete change of course. Maybe Roddy Piper and Tommy Rich team up, and next week on the show, Gordon Sully asked Roddy Piper about it, and Piper can say something to the effect, I'm not a fan of Tommy Rich. We've had our issues, but when somebody attacks one or both of us, then, I'm going to side up with Tommy Rich. Maybe at that point, the wrestler who did the attack, maybe he comes out and tells Piper to mind his own business, that the reason he was there was to attack Rich, and Piper may have looked a gift horse in the mouth. Well, now some Piper's, wait a minute, Roddy Piper doesn't need your help or anybody's help, so stick your nose back in your business. Boom, you now can turn Roddy Piper face without, any thinking, really, like, saying, well, I'd really like to make Roddy Piper a face. How can I do that? Well, here's a golden opportunity, whether you had thought of it or not, where if you want, you could change Roddy Piper face. Number 20, excuse me, I just got something in my throat today. Wrestler engages in a physical altercation with a very large fan at ringside. So with this one, I think I used this one in my Georgia replay where I had Plowboy Frazier was in the crowd, and I can't remember if it was a Masked Superstar or somebody got into it with him again out of the blue. Had no idea, but how can I come up with that? I mean, you could just say all it was a very large fan, and it doesn't have to go any farther, but I want to make an angle out of these. So again, if it comes up for me, I'm going to force myself to come up with something. So anyway, those are the 15 through 29. Now when you get to 30, we're going to try to go here, page down here a little bit. Okay, now some of these, one of the wrestlers is injured during the match. Check the body part injury, determine that the game will actually figure that out for you. But in this case, if you see 30 here through, it looks like, let's just say 39 for now, something happens for the match. You can't ignore it, even if you wanted to, because the game automatically makes whatever adjustments made. So like if you read 36 here, while ref is hurt, wrestler comes to ringside and attacks wrestler outside of the ring. Wrestler then applies one of his specialty moves on the wrestler. Attacking wrestler rolls opponent back into the ring and leaves the ring area prior to the ref recovering. 50 off wrestler stamina and check cut chart. So you can't do anything about that. That occurred. The game is going to, take the 50 off, and it's going to make the cut. So if it was Roddy Piper, let's say it was a guy came out for him and attacked Tommy Rich. But see, in this case, it could actually be Dusty Rhodes comes out on behalf of Tommy Rich and attacks Roddy Piper. And you might say, well, why would a face do that? Things like that have happened, and it's a great way to get an angle, because let's say Piper gets pinned by Rich. It kind of almost can end that feud, and this gives Piper a great way out, because now he can say he lost due to the American Dream, if you will, Dusty Rhodes' interference, because he got funky like a monkey. Never understood that, but whatever. Piper can use that as an excuse, and now it can lead to a Dusty Rhodes Roddy Piper program. Or you can pick, again, who's in, if you're doing that Georgia like I am, who else could that be? I mean, I can look at the roster. I can look at somebody who did wrestle in Georgia, but maybe I'm not using right now. I could say, hey, this is a great time to bring in Dusty Rhodes. So it gives you a lot of options around here. I just want to make a note, 37, I think we're going to change. The crazed lady fan at ringside attacks wrestler with her purse cane. Problem is, you wouldn't probably see that happen to a face. So what probably I think I'm going to do is reword that so it could occur, more believable to either one. Maybe it's a wrestler dressed up in a costume. So, it could be, a Santa Claus or an Easter Bunny, and then if that fan did, or that costume person did attack Tommy Rich, you could always say it was a heel. I haven't figured it out yet. It's just, I mean, you could figure a way how to say a crazed lady at ringside attacked Tommy Rich, but it's kind of hard to get an angle out of that, other than, if we change it and, make it a wrestler who's dressed up in a costume. So, 39 is one. Wrestler is not wrestling the territory, comes out of the crowd and attacks wrestler. Following the attack, wrestler leaves the building. There, again, another option for you to be able to bring in, well, in this case, you have to bring in somebody outside of your territory. And it can really, the wild event like this one here can really refresh your whole territory just by one simple event. It can lead to a whole new angle. And sometimes for me, you give me I might be, really struggling to find something. All of a sudden I get an angle and then the juices start flowing. It's kind of like when I had to do all the text files for the game. I can sit there and stare at my screen and say, I got nothing. I can't come up with some text files. And I'll walk away from it and maybe come back a couple hours later and boom, I'll rattle off 5 text files in like 10 minutes. It's just, and you're thinking, how couldn't I come up with these 2 hours ago? I sat here for 20 minutes and I had nothing. And sometimes it's the same with an angle. You just need to get, just get one going, and then all of a sudden your creative juices will start flowing. So last thing I'm going to show here, and keep in mind, by the way, we do have there's a tag team one too for wild events. That is not in the game right now. I'm hoping Gary will put it in for us. So, but number 40, this is what I call a match ender. You're going to have some type of, the match is somehow going to end. It could be a no contest, but we can go through these real quick. Wrestler from the dressing room attacks and injures both wrestlers. Check injury for both. Game will do that. Wrestler hiding under the ring climbs out and attacks wrestler. Again, after these occur, the match will end. So these first two are no contest. Wrestler is attacked by a wrestling announcer while outside the ring and a wild brawl takes place. Now, this one here, again, it's going to be a no contest, but you get to pick a lot of guys. You can pick who's in the brawl. You, of course, get to pick who the announcer is. You got a lot of fun with this one. 11 to 16, both wrestlers are cut badly. And this, you might say, well, if they're not cut during the match and now all of a sudden you get it. Yeah, they collided, they butted heads, they were outside the ring, whatever. Use your imagination, but some nasty cut occurred for both of them right away. Ringside doctor is called to examine cuts and orders the match stopped. Ref is hurt, so second ref comes to the ring and makes a pin count. First ref raves it off for unknown reasons. Again, what does the unknown reasons mean? Is there a DQ? Did something else occur? You get to fill that blank in. You can say the original referee thought he saw something when maybe he didn't. Again, use your imagination. Ref days counts both wrestlers shoulder the mat. If it's a title match, title is held up. And this was based on a true life result that I think got buried a little bit. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Greg Valentine, Bob Backlund. It was a way to hold the belt up. While ref is hurt, wrestler with the lowest outside ring range has ally pin, reverse the pin position. Opponent is pinned. Same thing, but here's the highest. The lowest would probably be a face, and the highest would be a heel. Ring collapses. Wrestlers continue to battle until they can be separated. Crazed fan attacks wrestler and stabs him in the leg. Match is a no contest. Check injury chart for attacked wrestler. Now, this was just probably within the last couple months I put this in, and somebody wants to, I don't know how you could do it, you could probably go to our Delphi forum. True result, actual 100% occurred. I'll throw it out there if somebody is this far into the video and they want to take a shot. Guess who the wrestler is, but it's a legit true story. In fact, the referee of the match actually was, I'll give you a hint, the guy who got stabbed was a bad guy, a heel. The referee, I think he was a special ref. He was actually a good guy. he actually helped save this guy's leg by quickly wrapping it up and, stopping the blood somewhat until he could get medical care. But if anyone wants to take a shot, they can. 40 hostile fans upset at lack of beer cause a riot while brawl breaks out in the stands. This is actually based on a true life event of mine. Nothing to do with wrestling. Give you a quick story, Reader's Digest. I was about 7 or 8 years old. My dad hired a couple guys to paint our house. He promised them all the beer they could drink when they were done, plus whatever he agreed to pay them. There was a miscommunication. My dad thought they were coming, say, a Thursday, and my dad was out of town on Wednesday. The painters came Wednesday. They finished the house. They, asked my mom for the beer. My dad promised them. There was no beer. And so the guys, as a joke, I think, wasn't very funny, on my wood backboard that was attached to the house for basketball, backboard, they wrote in white, "No beer!" exclamation point. Everybody thought it was really funny. It was more of a joke. Of course, they ended up getting the beer from my dad. I did not find it humorous because then they had to paint my backboard white. And I hated it because you were shooting a white backboard against a white house. The painters were not pure basketball shooters like I was and am. So, it threw my shot off for a little bit, but I was able to make the adjustment being the, fabulous shooter I was and am, but still didn't like it. So that's why I put this result in the game. I'm not convinced this probably didn't happen somewhere where they cut off beer sales at some time, but I don't know that for a fact. So anyway, side story there. So there you go. This is the wild event chart for Wrestling's Finest. Again, 2 wild event cards have to be turned back to back, and then a 1 to 40 number is turned. If a 40 is turned, then you turn another, or the game turns another 1 to 40 number, and then you get the result, as you can see here, from 1 to 40 under the 40. So the wild events are seriously a phenomenal way to get angles basically handed to you. Now, they're handed to you, but you got to figure out how to use them. It's up to you to say, okay, this occurred, how can I run with it? And that's kind of the point of Wrestling's Finest too, is when these events occur, you don't have to have the angle come up instantly. You finish your match and your card, you go to bed, go to work, you mow the yard, whatever you're doing. I want this to creep into your head, this wild event, and I want you to, be thinking about it. Maybe you don't want to, you should be focusing on dinner with your wife or whatever, but you can't help it in your mind while you're eating your broccoli. You're thinking, how can I turn this into an angle? That's part of the way Wrestling's Finest was designed. We want to make you think. We want to put you in tough spots. We want to maybe keep you up at night. Don't want to get you in, trouble or too much trouble, thinking about a wrestling game instead of work or dinner with your spouse. But the point is, we want to throw some curveballs, and I think these are actually good curveballs. They're hanging curveballs, and you can hit it out of the park if you, just can come up with some creative stuff. So thank everybody for joining me. Again, this is a little different one. We didn't even show the game. Next one I'm going to do, I believe, is going to deal with some, I don't know if you want to call them game tips, but some miscellaneous things about the game that some people might not, even experienced gamers might not actually be aware of, how some of these things actually work behind the scenes. So I think that will be the next one. But until then, appreciate you joining me. Hope everybody has a great day. And this is Tom Vogel from Wrestling's Finest PC Games saying so long.